7. Science. Listening activity number 1. Global warming. You are going to hear a talk about global warming. Now listen to the talk and complete the statements and then answer the questions. American scientists say rising temperatures on Earth's surface are forcing animals and plants to move to cooler areas and make other changes. Their studies found that warmer weather is causing many kinds of wildlife to leave their native environments. They also found that such natural events as tree flowering and migration, long-distance travel by birds, are now happening earlier in the year. Nature magazine reported the findings. The scientists say the results of these changes could be environmental damage and local losses of wildlife. They also warn that some creatures could disappear completely. Plants and animals have always had to react to changing environments. The climate is now changing faster than ever before. Many scientists blame greenhouse gases for the warmer weather. They found that the territory where the plants and animals live had moved north by an average of 6 kilometers every 10 years. In Europe, some butterflies now live as much as 100 kilometers to the north because of changes linked to higher temperatures. American scientists examined 172 kinds of wildlife and examined the timing of events in spring, such as the appearance of flowers and the reproduction of animals. They found that these events happened an average of 2 days earlier than normal every 10 years. The scientists at Stanford University examined wildlife and climate information from 143 studies. They found that about 80% of creatures studied had made changes because of warmer weather. Listening activity number 2. Snow. You are going to hear a talk about snow. Listen to the talk, complete the statements, and then answer the questions.
Snow is loved by many people. When the winter comes, the snow returns and people begin to skate and ski and do other sports on the snow. Snow is a form of frozen water. It contains many groups of tiny ice particles called snow crystals. These crystals grow from water particles in cold clouds. They usually grow around a piece of dust. All snow crystals have 6 sides, but they grow in different shapes. The shape depends mainly on the temperature and water levels in the air. Snow crystals grow in one of 2 designs, plate-like and columnar. Plate-like crystals are flat. They form when the air temperature is about 15 degrees Celsius below zero. Columnar snow crystals look like sticks of ice. They form when the temperature is about 5 degrees below zero. The shape of a snow crystal may change from one form to another as the crystal passes through levels of air with different temperatures. When melting snow crystals or raindrops fall through very cold air, they freeze to form small particles of ice called sleet. Groups of frozen water droplets are called snow pellets. Under some conditions, these particles may grow larger and form solid pieces of ice or hail. When snow crystals stick together, they produce snowflakes. Snowflakes come in different sizes. As many as 100 crystals may join together to form a snowflake longer than 2.5 centimeters. Under some conditions, a snowflake can be 5 centimeters long. Usually, this requires near freezing temperatures, light winds, and changing conditions in the Earth's atmosphere. Snow contains much less water than rain. About 15 centimeters of wet snow has as much water as 2.5 centimeters of rain. About 76 centimeters of dry snow equals the water in 2.5 centimeters of rain. The color of snow and ice appears white. This is because the light we see from the sun is white. Most natural materials take in some sunlight. This gives them their color. However, when light travels from air to snow, some light is sent back or reflected. Snow crystals have many surfaces to reflect sunlight. Yet the snow does take in a little sunlight. It is this light that gives snow its white appearance.
Listening activity number 3. UN World Food Report. You are going to hear a news report on world food from VOA. Now listen to the report, choose the correct answer, complete the statements, and answer the questions.
The United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization says hunger kills millions of people each year, especially children. The UN organization says millions more people will die unless more money is invested to fight against hunger. This is based on the results of a new UN study called The State of Food Insecurity in the World 2002. It found that more than 9 million people die each year from hunger. 6 million of them are children younger than age 5. Researchers also found that the number of starving people is growing in some parts of the world. The report says that about 840 million people around the world are not getting enough food to eat. 95% of these people are in developing countries. The number of hungry people in developing countries has been reduced by only about 2 million people a year in the last 10 years. At this rate, the total reduction will be less than 10% by the year 2015. This is far less than the 50% decrease in hunger called for by the World Food Summit in 1996. Researchers say that any small gains against hunger were the result of progress in large countries. China, for example, reduced its number of hungry people by 74 million. 6 other countries also reduced their number of hungry people. They are Indonesia, Vietnam, Thailand, Nigeria, Ghana, and Peru. However, the situation worsened in 47 other countries. Nick Parsons is a spokesman for the UN Food and Agriculture Organization in Rome, Italy. He says the study shows that progress in the fight against world hunger has been slowed to almost a halt. As a result, the UN Food Agency is calling on industrial and developing countries to increase public investment in agriculture. About 70% of people suffering from severe hunger live in farming areas of developing countries. But the report says government and international investment in agricultural development has been decreasing. The UN Food and Agriculture Organization says investment in hunger reduction can have important economic effects for both rich and poor countries. It says that people who live longer and more productive lives can help improve the economy of their countries.
Listening activity number 4. Centenarians. You are going to hear a science report from VOA. Listen to the report, choose the correct answer, and complete the statements.
This is VOA Special English Science Report. The Italian island of Sardinia recently lost its oldest citizen. Family members say Antonio Tode died in his sleep early this month. Mr. Tode was 112 years old. He was less than 3 weeks away from his 113th birthday. Record-keeping experts say he was the world's oldest man. Mr. Tode was born in a village on Sardinia in 1889. He cared for farm animals in the mountains almost all his life. Mr. Tode often said that drinking a glass of red wine every day helped him live to an old age. His long life and that of other very old Sardinians are the subject of a scientific project called IKEA. Luca Deina of Sassari University is directing the study. He says the name IKEA comes from a traditional greeting on Sardinia. It means health and life for 100 years. Professor Deina and his team started to collect information for the study in 1997. They identified more than 220 Sardinians who were centenarians, 100 years old or older. His team required 3 documents to confirm a person's age. They are a government birth record, a church record, and a statement by close family member. The IKEA study has produced 2 major findings. The first is Sardinia's extremely high number of centenarians. The island has about 135 centenarians for every 1 million people. In other Western countries, the average is about 75 centenarians for every 1 million people. The second major finding was an unusual rate of female-to-male centenarians. Sardinia has 2 women centenarians for every male centenarian. In central Sardinia, there are equal numbers of female and male centenarians. Studies in other parts of the world have shown a much higher percentage of female centenarians. The IKEA study collected information about the health and diet of about 140 of the centenarians. About 90% of those in the study also agreed to provide blood for scientific testing. The study team hopes to identify genetic material in the blood that can be linked to successful aging. Study leaders say there is no single reason why people in Sardinia live so long. They believe the answer is a combination of genetic and environmental conditions.
Listening activity number 5. Looking for weight loss answers. You're going to hear a talk about weight loss. Listen to the talk, complete the statements, and then indicate whether the statements are true or false. Obesity, also known as severe overweight, is a complex condition. A doctor may advise medical interventions in addition to changes in behavior, but experts say the most successful weight loss plans include a well-balanced diet and exercise. To lose weight, you can reduce the number of calories you take in, or increase the number of calories you use, or both. Experts at the National Institute of Health say to lose weight, a person should do an hour of moderate to intensive physical activity most days of the week. This could include fast walking, sports, or strength training. You should also follow a nutritious eating plan and take in fewer calories than your body uses each day. A recent study looked at 4 of the most popular dieting plans in the United States. Researchers at Stanford University in California studied more than 300 overweight women, mostly in their 30s and 40s. Each woman went on one of the 4 plans: Atkins, the Zone, Ornish, or Learn. The women attended diet classes and received written information about the food plans. At the end of a year, the women on the Atkins diet had lost the most, more than 4.5 kilograms on average. They also did better on tests including cholesterol levels and blood pressure. Christopher Gardner led the study reported in the Journal of the American Medical Association. He says the Atkins diet may be more successful because of its simple message to lower intake of sugars. Also, he says the advice to increase protein in the diet leads to more satisfying meals. He said there was not enough money to also study men, but that men would probably have similar results. But last week, another report suggested that only a small minority of people have long-term success with dieting. The report in the journal American Psychologist was based on 31 studies. Researchers at the Medical School of University of California, Los Angeles, found that most dieters regained their lost weight within 5 years, and often they gained back even more. But those who kept the weight off generally were the ones who exercised. Listening activity number 6. A UN population study. You are going to hear a talk about the world's population. Listen to the talk, choose the correct answer, and then answer the questions.
The United Nations Population Fund has released a new study on the condition of the world's population. The main idea of the report is poverty and its relationship to population issues. It says that several steps need to be taken immediately to reduce poverty by half by the year 2015. The first is to improve healthcare systems. In the world's poorest countries, people are expected to live just 49 years. 1 in 10 children does not reach their first birthday. The study says that poor health and poverty are linked. The report also says that women are affected most by poor healthcare systems, especially pregnant women. It says that better reproductive health can reduce poverty and build economic growth. The report says family planning and helping women avoid unwanted pregnancies are also ways to reduce poverty. The study says that when given a choice, poor people in developing countries have fewer children than their parents did. Smaller families have fewer expenses and more chances to increase their earnings and savings. Since 1970, developing countries with lower birth rates and slower population growth have had faster economic growth. They have had higher productivity, more savings, and more investment. The report also notes that poor people are more at risk from the infection that causes AIDS. This is because they lack the knowledge and power to protect themselves against the disease. The report says that investing in education, especially for women, can also reduce poverty. Educated women have more choices in life and are more likely to send their children to school. The study found that the right to an education has improved over the past 10 years. However, Poor people in many developing countries are still less likely to attend school. The report urges governments to change this and make sure all citizens learn to read and write. The UN study also says that women and men should be treated equally. This means that legal and human rights of women should be strengthened, as well as their ability to earn money and speak out socially and politically. The UN report says that half the world's population live on less than $2 a day. 1,000 million people live on less than $1 a day.
Listening activity number 7. AIDS. You are going to hear a conversation about AIDS. Listen to the conversation and complete the statements below.
Hi, David. Here is a report about AIDS. The death figure is terrible.
What is it?
40.3 million people around the world are living with AIDS in 2005. Approximately 11 of every 1,000 adults aged 15 to 49 are HIV infected. 25 million children will be orphans by 2010 because of AIDS. Over 27 million people have died since the first AIDS case was identified in 1980.
Some doctors say AIDS is the first leading cause of death around the world.
Do you know what HIV is? I'm not sure about it.
HIV is short for human immunodeficiency virus, which is the virus that causes AIDS. This virus is passed from one person to another through blood-to-blood or sexual contact. In addition, infected pregnant women can pass HIV to their baby during pregnancy or delivery, as well as through breastfeeding. People with HIV have what is commonly called an HIV infection, but sometimes it is also called the AIDS virus.
I see. AIDS virus is the germs that can cause AIDS.
Yes, different viruses infect different cells and cause different sorts of illnesses. For example, HIV infects the cells of the immune system, the very thing the body uses to fight against germs. Most people with HIV will eventually develop AIDS as a result of their HIV infection.
How is HIV transmitted from one person to another?
Well, as I mentioned before, HIV is most commonly spread by coming into direct contact with blood or sexual contact. HIV is also frequently spread among injection drug users by the sharing of needles or syringes contaminated with very small quantities of blood from someone infected with the virus. The HIV virus can enter the body through a vein, the mouth, as well as other mucous membranes. Example, eyes or inside of the nose or cuts and sores. Intact and healthy skin is an excellent barrier against HIV and other viruses and bacteria.
So, people can get virus easily by having unprotected sexual contact, coming in contact with blood, sharing needles or injection equipment used for injecting drugs, medicine, being born to a mother who has the virus with HIV.
Yes, that is right. You know, people cannot get virus from touching, talking to, or sharing a home with a person who is HIV infected or has AIDS.
Can people get virus from using swimming pools, hot tubs, or drinking fountains, toilet seats, doorknobs, gym equipment, or telephones used by people with HIV infection or AIDS?
No, they can't get it from them.
I see. What are the early symptoms and stages of HIV?
According to the medicine book, many people do not have any symptoms when they first become infected with HIV. Some people, however, have a flu-like illness within a month or two after exposure to the virus. This illness may include recurring fever or profuse night sweats, headache, profound and unexplained tiredness.
I see. Thank you very much.
With pleasure.
Listening activity number 8. Storms. You will hear a talk on storms. Now listen to the talk and complete the statements. Powerful storms are called hurricanes when they form over the Atlantic Ocean and the Eastern Pacific. They're called typhoons in the northwestern Pacific and cyclones when they develop over the Indian Ocean. Severe ocean storms in the northern half of the world generally develop in late summer or early autumn near the equator. Storms can result when the air temperature in one area is different from that of another. Warmer air rises and cooler air falls. These movements create a difference in the pressure of the atmosphere. If the pressure changes over a large area, winds start to blow in a huge circle. High-pressure air is pulled into a low-pressure center. Severe ocean storms happen less often in the southern hemisphere. There, the season of greatest activity is between December and March. South of the equator, the winds blow in the same direction as the hands on a clock. North of the equator, they blow counterclockwise. This is because, as the Earth turns, air is pulled to the right in the northern hemisphere. In the southern hemisphere, air is pulled to the left. Weather scientists use computers to create models that show where a storm might go. Models combine information such as temperatures, wind speed, atmospheric pressure, and the amount of water in the atmosphere. Scientists collect the information with satellites, weather balloons, and devices floating in the world's oceans. They also collect information from ships and passenger flights, and from planes that fly into and around storms. The crews drop instruments on parachutes to record temperature, pressure, wind speed, and other conditions. The Saffir-Simpson hurricane scale is a way to rate storms based on wind speed. It provides an idea of the amount of coastal flooding and property damage that might be expected. The scale is divided into 5 categories. A Category 1 storm has winds of about 120 to 150 kilometers an hour. It can damage trees and lightweight structures. It can also cause some flooding. Wind speeds in a Category 2 hurricane can reach close to 180 kilometers an hour. These storms are awful powerful enough to break windows or blow the roof off a house. Winds between about 180 and 250 kilometers an hour represent Categories 3 and 4. Anything even more powerful is a Category 5 hurricane. An Australian weather scientist began to call storms by women's names before the end of the 19th century. During World War II, weather scientists called storms by the names of their wives or girlfriends. The Weather Service in the United States officially started to use women's names for storms in 1953. In 1979, it began to use men's names too. Scientists decide on lists of names years in advance. They agree on them at meetings of the World Meteorological Organization. Listening activity number 9. Diabetes. You are going to hear a conversation between 2 friends on diabetes. Now listen to the conversation and complete the statements.
What's on tonight?
Nothing special. I'm waiting for Discovery now.
I love that program too. Have some peanuts.
Thank you. These are my favorite TV food. You know, a new study shows that eating nuts and peanut butter may help prevent one form of the disease diabetes.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
I heard diabetes affects about 135 million people around the world.
What is diabetes? I don't know about this disease.
Well, it is a little complicated. During digestion, the starches and sugars in the food you eat are converted to glucose, a natural form of sugar that your body uses for energy.
Yes, go on.
The disease results when the body cannot produce or use a substance called insulin.
Just a minute. What is insulin?
Insulin is a hormone produced by the organ called the pancreas that helps control the amount of glucose in blood. Without insulin, your body cannot use or store glucose. Insulin helps turn sugar from foods into energy.
I see.
You know, over a long period of time, poorly controlled diabetes may damage blood vessels and nerves, increasing your risk for problems that can affect the eyes, heart, kidneys, legs, and feet.
Well, Tom, how do you know all this?
Because my father has diabetes.
I see. So you really do a lot of research on it.
Yes, I like to read the news on it. Scientists from the Harvard University School of Public Health in Cambridge, Massachusetts, completed the research project, and the Journal of the American Medical Association published the findings. They studied more than 83,000 women for 16 years. The women were 34 to 59 years old. None of the women had diabetes, cancer, or heart disease when the study began. During the study, more than 3,000 women developed diabetes.
Wow. How did they get diabetes?
The women answered questions every 4 years between 1980 and 1996. The researchers asked what they ate, including information about nuts and nut products.
Yes, what did they find out?
Some of the women ate nuts 5 days a week. The size of each serving weighed about 30 grams, or they ate a serving of peanut butter 5 days each week. Other women in the study did not eat nuts or peanut butter. Those who ate nuts 5 times a week were more than 20% less likely to develop type 2 diabetes than the women who did not eat nuts.
So, women who ate nuts could prevent diabetes?
Yes, I believe so. Although the study involved only women, the researchers believe eating nuts would also be good for men. The scientists say more research is needed to confirm the findings, but the study suggests that the fats in nuts may improve the way the body makes and uses insulin.
I suppose I should eat more nuts than before to prevent diabetes.
Nuts contain magnesium. This element helps balance insulin and levels of sugar in the blood. The fats in nuts also may improve the body's ability to process sugar in the blood. People who suffer from diabetes have too much sugar in their blood and urine and the body's liquid waste.
Sounds interesting. Here's our program.
Listening activity number 10, Health and Heat. You are going to hear a talk on health and heat. Listen to the talk, choose the correct answer, and complete the table and the statements.
Today, I'm going to talk about some health problems linked to extreme heat and what we can do to prevent and treat these problems. Extremely hot weather is common in many parts of the world. It can cause medical problems and death. Health experts say that since the year 1900, extremely hot weather has killed more people in the United States than any other natural event. One year, the unusually hot summer of 1980, heat caused about 1,700 deaths in the United States. In 1995, more than 600 people died in a similar heat wave in one city, Chicago, Illinois. The most common medical problem caused by hot weather is heat stress. There are many causes for heat stress. These include hard work or exercise, heavy clothes, hot weather, or high humidity. Several of these conditions together can raise a person's body temperature above safe limits. The person perspires heavily, losing large amounts of body water and salt. For most people, the only result of heat stress is muscle pain. The pain is a warning that the body is becoming too hot. Doctors say drinking water will help the pain disappear after the body again has the right amounts of water and salt. Severe heat can help cause a heart attack or stroke and increases problems for very small children, older people, and sick people. It is also bad for people who weigh too much and have too much body fat, and for people who drink alcohol. If heat stress is not treated, it can lead to a more serious problem called heat exhaustion. Perspiration is one of the body's defenses against heat. It is a process during which the body releases water to cool the skin. However, a person suffering from heat exhaustion loses too much water through perspiration. The person becomes dehydrated. A person suffering from heat exhaustion feels weak and extremely tired. He or she may have trouble walking normally. Heat exhaustion also may produce a fast heartbeat, breathing problems, headache, chest pain, and a general feeling of sickness. Doctors say that people suffering from these problems should move to a cool place and drink water. Heat exhaustion can lead to heat stroke if it is not treated. With heat stroke, the body temperature rises to more than 40 degrees Celsius. The body stops perspiring, and the skin becomes dry and very hot. A person may even become unconscious. Permanent brain damage and death may result, so treatment should begin immediately, or the person could die before medical help arrives. Immediate treatment should begin by moving the victim out of the sun. Then take off the person's clothes, pour water over the victim's body, and put pieces of ice in areas where blood vessels are close to the skin. These areas include the neck and under the arms. The purpose is to cool the victim as quickly as possible to stop the body's temperature from increasing. Water is very important for the health. Health experts say adults should drink about 2 liters of water each day to replace all the body water lost in urine and perspiration, and drink more than that in hot weather. They say people should drink water even before they start to feel like a drink. This is because people sometimes do not feel thirsty until they already have lost a lot of body liquid. In hot weather, drinking cold liquids is best. They do more than just replace lost body water. Cold liquids also help cool people faster than warm liquids. This is because they take up more heat inside the body and carry it away faster. In addition to drinking lots of cool water, there are other things to do to protect against the health dangers of heat. Stay out of the sun, if possible. Wear loose, lightweight, and light-colored clothes. Wear a hat or other head cover while in the sun. Eat fewer hot and heavy foods. If possible, Rest more often. Physical activity produces body heat. Health experts say these simple steps can prevent the dangerous health problems linked to heat. They will prevent sickness, help you feel better, and may even save your life.
Listening activity number 11. World weather. You are going to hear a news report on world weather. Now listen to the report, complete the statements, and then answer the questions. Severe weather is affecting people in many countries. In areas of South and East Asia, about 700 people have been killed in floods and resulting landslides during the past month. The hardest-hit countries include North and South Korea, Vietnam, India, Nepal, and Bangladesh. In India, the flooding is the worst the country has experienced in 25 years. Areas in Assam and Bihar states have suffered from heavy rains and flooding. 20 million people have been affected. Indian officials say more than 300 people have died as a result of the weather conditions. The number of deaths in Nepal is even higher. More than 400 people have been killed in floods and landslides in mountain villages there. Another 150 people have died in similar weather in Bangladesh. Flooding was also especially severe in China this year, where about 900 people have died. Yet there also are intensely dry conditions in parts of Asia. For example, although floods are affecting part of the Indian state of Bihar, the seasonal rains have not begun as expected in other areas of the same state. The lack of weather is killing crops. A spokesman for the aid organization Red Cross says that 95% of crops in Bihar probably will not survive. Huge floods are also continuing in several European countries. The heavy rains began about 2 weeks ago. More than 60 people were killed in sudden floods in southern Russia. Similar weather hit the Czech Republic. Czech safety officials ordered tens of thousands of people to leave the capital, Prague, this week. The rain and overflowing rivers also have damaged hundreds of smaller towns and villages in the Czech Republic. Roads and railroads are underwater in a number of places. Bridges have been carried away by water. Czech officials estimate hundreds of millions of dollars of damage. The rains and floods are also damaging parts of Germany. Thousands of people have been removed from the historic city of Dresden. The river Elbe in Dresden reached its highest levels in more than 150 years. The intense rains have also done great damage in Austria. Other affected countries include Italy, Spain, Slovakia, Bulgaria, Croatia, Romania, Hungary, and Ukraine. Officials estimate thousands of millions of dollars of damage across Europe. Many environmental experts say human activities are involved in large climate changes. For example, many scientists believe that the release of industrial wastes is warming the Earth's atmosphere. Yet no one has proven a direct link between human activities and specific incidents of weather. And some scientists argue that climate changes are the result of natural causes. Listening activity number 12. Sharks. You are going to hear a talk about sharks. Listen to the talk, choose the correct answer, and complete the statements.
Today, I'm going to talk about sharks. Sharks are among the oldest animals on Earth. They have lived in the world's oceans for millions of years. Today, sharks live the same way they did more than 200 million years ago, before dinosaurs existed on the Earth. Scientists say there are more than 350 different kinds of sharks. Most sharks are about 2 meters long. The dogfish shark, however, is less than 20 centimeters in length, and the biggest whale shark can grow to a length of 20 meters. Sharks do not have bones. The skeleton of a shark is made of cartilage. Human noses and ears are also made of cartilage. A shark has an extremely good sense of smell. It can find small amounts of substances in the water, such as blood, body liquids, and chemicals produced by animals. Sharks also sense electrical and magnetic power linked to nerves and muscles of living animals. These powerful senses help them find their food. Sharks grow slowly. Some kinds of sharks are not able to reproduce until they are 20 years old. Most reproduce only every 2 years. And they give birth to fewer than 10 young sharks. About 40% of the different kinds of sharks lay eggs. The others give birth to live young. Some sharks carry their young inside their bodies with a cord connecting the fetus to the mother like humans do. Scientists are beginning to understand the importance of sharks to humans. Medical researchers want to learn more about the shark's body defense system against disease. They know that sharks recover quickly from injuries. Sharks appear never to suffer infections, cancer, or heart diseases. Many people believe that shark cartilage can help prevent cancer. Scientists have questioned this idea, yet they still study the shark in hopes of finding a way to fight human disease. Sharks are important for the health of the world's oceans. They eat injured and diseased fish. Their hunting activities mean that the numbers of other fish in the ocean do not become too great. This protects the plants and other forms of life that exist in the oceans. Experts say most sharks bite people by mistake. For unknown reasons, they think that a person is a large sea animal, like a seal or sea lion. That is why people should not go swimming in the ocean at the times of the day when the sun goes down or comes up. Those are the times when sharks are looking for food. Experts also say that people should not wear bright colors or shiny metal jewelry. These may cause sharks to attack. The experts say shark attacks only seem to be increasing because more people are swimming in the oceans than ever before. They say the number of sharks in the world has decreased in recent years. Scientists say people are killing sharks faster than the sharks can reproduce.